Hello fellow Magic Bunnies, my name's Gary Scott. Welcome to the Magic Bunny Library and my book review. Today in the book chair, Edwin Sach's Sleight of Hand. So a little something about the author. Although we have no date of birth for Edwin T. Sach, we do know he was of English descent and he passed away in 1910. Edwin T. Sach was a sports writer and amateur magician who learned from William Creamer's The Secret Out. Mr. Sach became an honorary vice president of the Magic Circle in 1906 and in April 1907 became a member of the Inner Magic Circle. He was a frequent contributor to the pages of the Magic Circular, and Sach's articles on sleights were serialised in the Bizarre Exchange and Mark magazine and reprinted as Sleight of Hand, a practical manual of legerdemain for amateurs and others in 1877. Sleight of Hand first appeared in serial form around the same time Modern Magic was being published elsewhere. The book version of Sleight of Hand was produced in two parts, Part 1 Drawing Room Magic and Part 2 Grand or Stage Magic. It was then reissued in the same year in one volume, and there is also a rare deluxe edition. There are several editions of this classic book on manipulative magic. Editions and reprints include a second edition by L. Upcott Gill of London, and this was 1885. Then there was a third edition by the same publisher in 1890, and this added a new chapter, chapter 19, which was called Some Up-to-Date Tricks. Some consider this to be the very best version. Then there was a fourth edition, revised and enlarged by Paul Fleming Gamil, and this was in 1947. Then there was a fifth edition by Magic Limited in 1979, and Dover Publishers' reprint of the second edition was in 1980. Unfortunately, this does not include the extra chapter 19. And from Promino Press, that was it, Promino Press. In 2006 they produced a version, but not sure what edition this is, but seems to include the new chapter 19. Some descriptions mention 57 illustrations, but others mention 131. As Sleight of Hand is a heavy text-based book, I thought I would share with you favourite passages from within its pages. Then you can get your own copy and find your favourites too. As you can see from this Dover reprint from 1980, I've taken the liberty of highlighting key moments and text from inside, and hopefully some of what I show you and read to you will inspire you to buy this fascinating old school book. Over the past 2 months, I've taken this book everywhere, just so I can study its contents. As you can see, it's a little worse for wear, and I highly recommend that you don't treat one of the older versions in the same way. As we look through the contents, we can see the numerous chapters devoted to both drawing room and grand or stage magic. So here's a quick list of other topics, effects and tricks that are available in Edwin T. Sach's Sleight of Hand. famous for being an entry in the Stars of Magic, the congenial aces appear in Sleight of Hand. And to accompany the card trick section, a wonderful passage applies. By his success or failure in this particular branch of legerdemain, will his reputation as a conjurer be made or marred? Card tricks, more than anything else, demand sleight of hand pure and simple, and success with them can only be attained by assiduous practice. Supposedly, back in the 1800s, it was acceptable to cause physical harm to spectators for the sake of effect. A perfect example of this would be to turn to page 83 and see the effect called "to cut a person's arm with a knife through the coat without injuring the cloth." Right now I'm thinking lawsuit. A strange and wonderful entry that shows just how much times have changed. And just if a knife wasn't extreme enough, in 1877 you could purchase a pistol at a magic store. Yes, even the infamous bullet catch is in this book. On page 28, we can see the instructions on how to make a folding coin for a coin in bottle routine. There is also mention of a cork-topped version which was discussed in a Michael Amar lecture in 2006. As I've worked through Sach's Sleight of Hand, I've noted my favourite passages. I'm going to combine them all now into a little passage that I'd like to read to you. Hopefully there will be something for everybody. The conjurer, like the chess player, must always see in his mind's eye 2 or 3 moves ahead, so that no hitch or hesitation occurs. It is highly essential for a conjurer to be perfect in all minutiae of his art, and he must practice them as the piano player practices the scales which he never plays to the public. Misdirection is the ground basis of the conjurer's actions, and the more natural the performer's movements in this particular, the more complete will be his success. By using mechanical tricks, many feats of sleight of hand are imitated, but then the apparatus cannot be shown round, and the audience goes away from the performance impressed with the idea that conjuring means exhibiting a certain number of cunningly devised boxes, canisters, etc. Apparatus exhibited without the assistance of sleight of hand, and plenty of it, causes the performer to degenerate into a mere showman, opening a box here and taking a lid off there. One of the great arts in conjuring is that of turning all mistakes and unexpected occurrences to the best advantage, and a thorough knowledge of all the various artifices and dodges is necessary to accomplish this. Conjuring, it must be borne in mind, is not like cricket, or rowing, or shooting, or anything else. There is no legitimate means of arriving at anything through its medium. The wished for result must be produced by fair means or by foul. Conjurers must never fail. That is to say, they must never allow the audience to see that they have failed in arriving at any desired result. People come to conjuring entertainments expecting to see sleight of hand performed, and not listen to speeches, however beautiful they may be in themselves. What is wanted is something to accompany the trick, just as a piano player accompanies a singer. On no account play the buffoon, as I have seen conjurers do before now. When a laugh is raised, it should be with and not at the performer. The success of a conjurer, like that of an actor, depending in a very great measure upon his originality or individuality. Poor conjurers, too, always treat a cover containing anything in a far too gingerly manner. An empty cover they flourish about with extreme recklessness, exhibiting the interior freely. But a few moments later they carry the same cover about as gingerly as one would a very lofty and quivering tipsy cake or jelly. Spectators cannot but notice this sudden change from extreme freedom to plainly depicted trepidation, and generally draw very correct conclusions. So here are my hot tips for Sach's Sleight of Hand. Number 1. online dictionary, otherwise known as Google at the ready. The language used is from 2 centuries ago, so the grammar and words used are of a similar age. I have discovered around 20 to 30 new words, and discovering their meaning is just as interesting as the magic inside. Number 2. Core elements. Taking the DVD versus books argument into account, there are theoretical and practical teachings that don't really exist in the video medium. This book contains the core elements and fundamentals to make a successful conjurer. Number 3. Craftsmen. Throughout the book, there are several references to different craftsmen of the time. To perform some of the tricks in the book, you will have to hunt down their modern day counterparts. This will help you construct specific parts that may be required. If you do, you will have in your arsenal some magic tricks that have not seen the light of day for over 100 years. So here are my final thoughts on Edwin T. Sach's Sleight of Hand. Many of you may already own this book in its Dover format, but for some reason it slipped you by. If you can get past the terrible Dover cover, you will find a perfect gateway to magic's past. In fact, apart from the language and the seeking of props for certain effects, this book is a hidden treasure for all. It may be old, but it's so old it may as well be brand new. This is Gary Scott closing the book on Edwin T. Sach's Sleight of Hand. So here's a small bonus at the end of this review. This is a video link to Master Magician John Carney. Everything he's performing is available in this book. Now do you believe in the power of the book? I'd like to read for you now one of my favourite quotes from page 238. A lady's muff, when handy, can be well employed. What?